Last summer, I went camping in Pinewood Forest. I was 32 and thought it would be a good way to escape city life. I loved photography and hoped to capture nature's beauty. The first day was great. I set up my tent near the lake and felt at peace. It was quiet, just me and the trees. I hiked and took pictures of the tall pines and the calm water. I felt connected to something important. On the second night I woke up. I heard laughter in the distance. I thought it was other campers and felt a bit envious. It must be nice to share these moments, I thought. But when I peeked outside, all I saw was darkness. There was nobody around, so I went back to sleep. The laughter continued every night, always getting closer. I started feeling uneasy. Maybe I'm just imagining it, I kept telling myself. I tried to focus on my photography, but the feeling wouldn't go away. The trees began to look strange. I saw carvings on the trunks that looked like faces. It felt like they were watching me and judging me. My heart raced as I walked by, not wanting to linger on the fourth night. I heard rustling nearby. I thought it was a deer, but then I saw a shadow move between the trees. A chill ran down my spine. Grabbing my camera, I thought I could capture the moment, but when I looked through the lens, I saw nothing but darkness. Nothing felt right anymore, but I couldn't figure out why. That night I crawled into my tent. The laughter was much closer now, sounding different, almost sinister. My heart pounded as I listened. I wanted to leave, but I kept telling myself it was probably nothing. I held my breath and waited for the laughter to fade. It only grew louder. The next morning, I felt the need to hike deeper into the forest for some clarity. As I walked, everything started feeling off. The trees seemed to close in around me. I spotted those strange carvings again, faces staring at me more clearly this time. They seemed alive, like they were whispering. Panicking, I stumbled back to my camp. I thought I saw shadows again, flashes in my vision. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Night fell, and I sat in my tent, terrified. Then I heard a soft voice right outside, asking, "Why are you here?" I froze. I didn't know what to do. Then the laughter returned, a twisted version of joy that sent shivers down my spine. I looked out again, but nothing was there. Just the trees with their strange faces carved into the bark, and the laughter echoing through the night. Had I made a mistake by coming here? Or was I always meant to find whatever was lurking in the shadows? That night was the longest I'd ever experienced. The laughter seemed to swirl around me like a thunderstorm, echoing through the trees. I held my breath and waited, body stiff with fear. I wanted to scream, to run, but the voice of fear whispered that I had to stay, that somehow I was safe in my tent. When dawn finally broke, the forest transformed. Shadows retreated, and for a moment, it all felt normal again. Yet I couldn't shake the fear. I grabbed my boots and stepped outside, desperately hoping that the daylight would chase away the lingering anxiety. As I stepped out, I noticed something odd. My camping gear, which had been so neatly packed, was now scattered around my tent. The gas stove was flipped over, and my backpack lay unzipped. Its contents spilled across the forest floor. I hadn't heard a thing. I felt a sharp unease wash over me. Did something come into my camp while I slept? I picked up my backpack and looked inside. My camera was there, safe, but my memory card was gone. Panic shot through me. That card held all my photos, the ones I'd taken over the past few days. No, I whispered, feeling a sense of dread. I had to get it back. With a racing heart, I retraced my steps from the day before, hoping to find a clue about the loss. The deeper I walked into the woods, the more I felt I wasn't alone. Every rustle made me jump. I glanced back frequently, half expecting to find the shadow from the night before lurking behind me. That's when I saw it, a flash of movement between the trees. It was quick, like a flicker of darkness darting away. I called out instinctively, "Hello?" The answer was silence. I quickened my pace, anxiety bubbling inside me. All I wanted was to find my card and escape this place. After a while, I stumbled upon an area I hadn't seen before. An old, abandoned cabin stood half-hidden among the pines. Its door hung ajar, creaking slightly with the wind. A sense of dread washed over me. Should I go in? I thought. What if there was something in there, waiting? Compelled by an unknown force, I stepped toward the cabin. The closer I got, the more vivid the laughter returned, filled with malicious amusement. I hesitated, glancing over my shoulder, but I again felt that strange urge to stay. I peered inside. It was dark and musty, filled with dust and shadows. Old furniture sat cobwebbed in the corners, and there were remnants of what looked like makeshift beds, an unsettling sight. My heart raced. What were those faces carved into the trees? Then I saw it a glimmer underneath a broken table. I knelt down for a closer look. As I reached for whatever it was, I heard a familiar voice, soft and sinister. You came just for me. I froze, hand inches from the object. I realized it was my memory card, but as I pulled it from its hiding place, the laughter rose again, this time darker, echoing through the silence of the woods. The memory card gripped tightly in my hand. I stood up, awareness crashing over me. I have to get out of here, I thought, but I sensed something shifting in the corners of the cabin. What was waiting for me outside? I took a deep breath, the memory card feeling like a heavy weight in my palm. I had to move, but the cabin was silent, too silent, and I wanted to believe I was alone, but I couldn't shake that feeling. I stepped back cautiously, trying not to make a sound. The door creaked on its old hinges, and I took one last glance around. Nothing looked out of place, yet everything felt wrong. As I stepped outside, the laughter began to fade, replaced by an eerie stillness. I looked around, but the woods felt empty and watchful. I hesitated, unsure of which direction to take. Then I heard a rustle, just beside the cabin. My heart jumped. I turned my head, but all I saw was a patch of shadows under the trees. Panic set in. Was it just an animal? Or was something else lurking there? I decided to move away from the cabin, heading back in the direction I'd come. The path felt like it twisted in on itself, and every sound sent shivers down my spine. My mind raced with questions. Who or what had been in my camp? Why had it taken my memory card? Then, I saw a flicker of movement again, sharper this time. A figure stepped into view. I froze, my heart pounding. It was a person. A girl, dressed in tattered clothes, with tangled hair and a wild look in her eyes. "Help me," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Who are you?" I asked, half in shock, half in horror. She glanced back toward the woods, and her expression shifted. "They're coming," she whispered, urgency lacing her words. "Who's coming?" I croaked, trying to maintain composure. "The ones who laugh." Her eyes darted around nervously. "I saw them. They want to keep you here." I stepped back instinctively, every instinct screaming at me to flee. "What are you talking about? They'll come for you," she cried, panic overtaking her. "You have to get out now." Before I could respond, I saw shadows moving among the trees, figures, multiple figures, creeping closer. The laughter returned, now quicker and more frantic, filling my ears with dread. "Run! They're here!" she shouted. Without a second thought, I turned and sprinted back the way I'd come, adrenaline pulsing through me. I could hear the girl behind me, but I didn't dare look back. The forest blurred, branches snagging at my clothes as I fled deeper into the woods. But I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I had to escape those sounds, that ominous laughter echoing all around me. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shifted, and I stumbled, falling to my knees. As I looked up, my heart dropped. The figures were no longer just shadows. They were moving quickly, dancing in the fading light. I scrambled to my feet, breathless, the laughter cascading like a twisted melody. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, my voice breaking. And in that moment, I realized I had to face whatever was coming after me. There was no escape. Something flickered just at the edge of my vision, and as I turned to see what it was, I felt a rush of wind, cold and biting, lifting the hair on my arms. I was not alone anymore. I ran harder, my legs pumping against the uneven ground, every heartbeat echoing the panic coursing through me. The laughter grew louder, twisted and chaotic. I could almost feel the breath of whatever pursued me on my neck. I didn't dare to look back again. The urgency to escape consumed me. I pushed past the thick underbrush, branches scratching my arms, the stinging pain only sharpening my focus. Each rustle and snap of a twig felt accusatory, as if the forest itself was conspiring with the unseen figures. I needed to reach the clearing ahead. Maybe I could find help or at least someplace safe. But the clearing was still a distance away, and doubt began to creep in. What if they were already there? What if I was running toward a trap? Then I remembered the girl, the wild look in her eyes. Was she still behind me? Did she make it out? I shook my head, forcing myself to focus. I couldn't afford to think about anyone but myself right now. Just as I broke through the trees into the clearing, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. It was a flash of white. Was it the girl? I turned my head, and that S when I saw it. A figure standing just at the edge of the woods, backlit by the dimming light of the day. Help! I screamed, but my voice barely made it past my throat. Panic constricted my chest. The laughter surged again, and I turned away from the figure, my heart racing. In the clearing, I spotted a small structure. It wasn't the cabin. It looked older, dilapidated, and forgotten. There might be something inside, something that could help me, or at least provide a momentary refuge. I dashed toward it, my feet pounding against the soft earth. The door creaked open easily, almost inviting me in. I stepped inside and slammed it shut behind me, the noise echoing in the small, dark space. My breath came in ragged gasps as I pressed my back against the door, trying to still my racing heart. The room was filled with dust and shadows. Old furniture was strewn about, crumbling and covered in cobwebs. A chill clawed at my spine as I scanned for whatever I needed to defend myself. Then I saw an old flashlight sitting on a table. I rushed over, grabbing it and flicking it on. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the room. That S when I spotted something even stranger, a map tacked to the wall, covered in strange markings. My fingers traced the faded lines, the symbols unfamiliar yet oddly captivating. It looked like a layout of the woods around me, each marking detailing a path, points of interest, and more significantly, a symbol that looked eerily similar to the one I had seen etched into the cabin's floor. My gut twisted at the implications. Did the girl know about this? I shook my head, trying to clear the thoughts swirling. I could hear the laughter outside, now louder, stronger, like a sick mockery of a celebration. It was then I noticed another detail. One of the markings on the map was marked with an X, just a few yards from where I stood. I leaned closer, breath hitching. Whatever was at that spot felt urgent, like it was calling me. Suddenly, the laughter broke into a chorus of shrieks, and the door rattled violently. They were here. I had to decide quickly. Join the chaos outside or uncover the truth hidden in this abandoned place. My pulse quickened. I didn't think I had a choice. I had to find out what lay at the X on the map, no matter what awaited me. I hesitated for a moment, the map pinned against the wall glaring at me like a challenge. The door continued to shudder violently, and the laughter outside turned maniacal. I gritted my teeth and made a decision. I needed to see what this X was all about, and I needed to do it fast. I turned my flashlight off to keep it from giving away my position, my eyes now adjusted to the dim light. With the map clutched in my hands, I slipped out the back door, ducking low and trying to be silent. The laughter faded for a brief moment, but I knew it wouldn't last. The map directed me towards a patch of trees, to the right of the clearing. I ran, staying low to the ground, my heart pounding nearly loud enough to drown out my thoughts. Everything was a blur of shadows and sounds, but my focus was locked on the destination. The X was close. I reached the spot indicated on the map, panting heavily. It was a small clearing surrounded by thick brush. The air felt thicker here, as if the trees themselves had grown wary of what lurked nearby. I knelt, scanning the ground. Sunlight trickled through the leaves above, casting odd shapes and patterns. Then I saw it, a slight mound of dirt, unnatural against the leaf-strewn ground. A sense of urgency hit me. I began to scrape my fingers through the soft earth. What was buried here? With each swipe, I felt both a thrill and terror coursing through me. A sudden rustle from behind me froze me mid-motion. I turned, half expecting to see one of them, those laughing figures. But it was something else entirely. A small, weathered box peeked out from beneath the dirt. My hands shook as I pulled it free, the wood worn but intact. I opened the box, holding my breath. Inside, I found a collection of items. A rusty key, a tarnished locket, and several faded photographs. My heart dropped. The photos were of people smiling, happy faces. But something about them felt wrong. There was a shadow lurking in each image, as if something dark had been caught in the moment. Just as I started to comprehend what I was looking at, a piercing scream rang out in the distance, echoing through the trees. My instincts kicked in. I shoved the box into my bag, glancing back toward the direction of the sound. I couldn't afford to be caught here. But as I turned to leave, a figure stepped into the clearing, silhouetted against the fading light. It was the girl from before. Her wild eyes found mine, and the frantic look on her face sent a chill racing down my spine. "Run!" she yelled, her voice high and panicked. I didn't hesitate. I pushed past her, and together we darted back toward the deeper woods, guided by sheer instinct rather than reason. Whatever was happening behind us was terrifying, and I could feel it closing in. The laughter returned, mingling with the screams and echoing like a haunting melody. There had to be a way out, but I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever we had discovered was only the beginning. Chapter 2. We ran through the trees, branches whipping past as we wove our way deeper into the woods. I didn't know if the girl could keep up. Her breathing was labored, and all I could think about was getting as far away from that clearing as possible. What was that scream? I gasped as we darted behind a thick trunk. I needed answers, but time was running out. She peered around the tree cautiously. I don't know, but I saw something moving. Her voice shook. I could see fear in her eyes. "We're not safe here." I nodded, my mind racing. "We need to find a place to hide, at least until we can figure out what's going on." We crept further into the forest, trying to keep our movements as quiet as possible. My heart pounded louder now, drowning out the sounds of the forest. The laughter had turned into something distorted, echoing off the trees like a menacing chant. Suddenly, I spotted a thicket nearby, densely packed with brush. "Over there," I pointed. We dashed to it and ducked low, our bodies pressed against the cold earth. "What's in that box?" she whispered, glancing at me with those wide, frightened eyes. The key, locket, and photos weighed heavily in my bag, like shadows shifting uneasily. "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but I think it has something to do with these woods." Those photos, the faces lingered in my mind, haunting me. They were too happy. Before I could say anything else, a rustling noise made us both freeze. I held my breath, straining to hear. It was closer now, the branches snapping underfoot. I could make out a shape moving through the darkness. My gut twisted in fear. "What is that?" "I have no idea," she replied, her voice tense with anxiety. We huddled deeper in the thicket as the figure stepped into the weak light filtering through the leaves. It was tall and shadowy, wearing a long coat that swayed unnaturally. I tried to make out its face, but the shadows cloaked it, making it impossible to tell if it was human or something else entirely. "Do you see it?" I whispered. She nodded slowly, her eyes fixed on the figure. "What do we do?" My mind raced through options, but none felt right. We could run, but we might not make it. We could stay hidden, but then what? We wait. Just don't move. The figure paused, scanning the area with a slow, deliberate gaze. I felt a chill creep over me. It was searching. I glanced at the girl beside me. Her jaw was clenched, and I could see her trembling. It was then that I noticed something strange about the figure. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, like a marionette pulled by a string. An icy dread settled in my stomach. Then, without warning, the figure suddenly turned away and walked into the shadows. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "I think it's gone," I said, but there was no relief yet. Just as we began to relax, the ground beneath us trembled. I felt it rumble through the earth like an earthquake, forcing me to grip the branches tightly. "What now?" I muttered. "I don't know," she replied, fear spiking in her voice. Then there was a loud snap above us followed by a rustling. I looked up just in time to see a heavy branch break free from a tree hurtling directly toward us. "Get down!" I screamed. As we ducked, the branch crashed into the thicket, uprooting everything in its path. The whole world exploded into chaos. Whatever was happening in these woods was spiraling out of control, and I had a sinking feeling we had only scratched the surface of it all. Chapter 3: The thunder of the branch crashing around us faded into a ringing silence. My mind reeled from the adrenaline, and I could barely process what had just happened. I slowly pushed myself up, peering through the ruined thicket. "Are you okay?" I whispered to the girl beside me, her eyes wide. "Why, yeah," she stammered, brushing dirt off her arms. "But we need to get out of here." I nodded in agreement. The ground still felt unstable. Everything around us seemed more alive than before. There was an electric tension in the air, the kind that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Just as we prepared to make a break for it, I spotted movement again, not the figure this time, but something darker slinking away between the trees, vanishing into the deep underbrush. "Did you see that?" I asked, but she hadn't noticed. "What?" "That thing," I breathed, pointing to where it had been. "It just slipped away." Her expression turned serious, and she looked around nervously. "We can't stick around to find out what it is." We decided to move, each step feeling more perilous than the last. The ominous laughter had stopped, replaced by an unsettling stillness. It felt as if everything was watching us: trees, shadows, even the wind. I took a deep breath and tried to focus. We needed to find a way out. I remembered the layout of the woods from my last trip with my family. Knowing it wasn't too far to the edge of the forest gave me some comfort. After what felt like an eternity of twisting paths and creeping unease, I could finally see the glimmer of daylight breaking through the trees ahead. We're almost there. But just then, a low growl resonated through the stillness. I froze. "Did you hear that?" She nodded, fear etched across her face. "What was it?" "I don't know," I admitted, my pulse racing again. "But it sounds close." Before I could gather my thoughts, the bushes rustled violently. Out burst a creature, unlike anything I'd ever seen. Its eyes glowed in the dim light, and it was smaller than a deer but moved with uncanny speed. It had a sleek, dark coat and jagged teeth that glimmered against its muzzle. We stumbled backward, caught off guard. My heart surged with panic as I shouted, "Run!" We bolted toward the fading light, the creature hot on our heels, snapping its jaws just inches from my ankle. I lunged for the girl's hand, pulling her alongside me as we raced through the last of the underbrush. Just as we burst into the open, I felt a pang of hope, but it was short-lived. The world outside the woods was just as eerie. The sky was tinted orange, but the sun was nowhere to be found. It was as if dusk had turned to something else altogether. "Look over there." She pointed, her voice shaking. In the clearing stood a cabin. It was old and worn, with shattered windows and vines creeping up its sides. A vivid light pulsated from inside, casting strange shapes onto the ground. "Should we check it out?" she asked, her resolve faltering. "That's our only option," I replied, scanning our surroundings. The creature's growl blended with the low rumble of thunder, and I could feel the urgency growing. As we approached the cabin, an overwhelming sense of dread washed over me. I saw movement behind the glass, the flicker of something or someone. "Maybe there's someone inside," I suggested, but doubt gnawed at me. Just as we reached the door, I heard a whisper, soft yet unmistakable. "Help me." And that's when it hit me. Whatever was going on in these woods, it was far more dangerous than I ever imagined. Chapter for the whisper echoed in my mind, a faint plea cutting through the stillness. I glanced at the girl beside me, her face pale, the fear evident in her eyes. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Before I could answer, the door creaked open just a crack. My heart raced as I glanced inside. There was the faint glow, and shadows danced like restless spirits along the walls. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky. "Is anyone there?" Silence swallowed my words. Then the whisper returned, more urgent this time. "Please help me." Against every instinct telling me to turn and run, I pushed the door wider. It swung open with a groan, revealing a dim interior, cluttered with old furniture and dust. I felt a chill sweep over me. "Should we go in?" the girl asked, glancing over her shoulder nervously. "I think we have to," I replied, stepping inside slowly. The light flickered from a source hidden in the back. I could feel dread nipping at my heels, but curiosity pulled me forward. In the far corner, I saw what looked like a figure hunched over, its back to us. "Hello?" I stepped closer, hoping against hope that it was just a person in need. "Help me," the voice was almost a sob now. I reached out, ready to touch the figure's shoulder, but the moment I did, it turned. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a person at all. It was a creature, resembling the one we'd seen in the woods, but smaller and frail. Its fur was matted and its eyes, once bright, were clouded, as if it had been trapped here for ages. What is it?" the girl gasped, stepping back. "I don't know," I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. "But it seems, can you help me?" pleaded again, and I felt an odd shift in the air, a plea that tugged at my heart. But just as I took a step forward, the room shifted. The shadows warped, growing darker, merging together like an approaching storm. "No, get back." The creature shrunk away, its eyes wide with fear. "They'll come for me." Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind us, locking us inside. Panic exploded inside me as I turned back to the creature. "What do you mean, they?" The walls pulsated with that same eerie light, and I felt my stomach drop. I could see forms beginning to twist through the shadows, shifting like smoke. They loomed closer, and I backed away, gripping the girl's arm tight. "We need to find a way out." The creature's eyes darted toward a window, desperate. "The light, it's the only way." A flash of understanding struck me. I ran to the window, expecting it to be a way out, a chance for escape. But the glass was blackened, obscured by something otherworldly that made it look like a void. "What do you mean?" The girl's voice trembled as she joined me. "They're here," the creature whispered, trembling. "The others, they're hungry." Just then, a shudder traveled through the cabin. Shadows coalesced into elongated figures, their intentions clear in their haunting forms. I turned to the creature, urgency flooding my voice. "What do we do?" "I don't know," it screeched as the shadows rushed toward us. Then everything went dark. Chapter 5. I woke up gasping, my heart racing. The darkness pressed in around me like a suffocating blanket. I blinked, trying to adjust to my new surroundings. The air felt heavy, charged with fear. "Are you okay?" The girl's voice tugged at my awareness. She sounded close, but I couldn't see her. I think so," I stammered, still disoriented. "Where are we?" I tried to focus, to get my bearings. Felt like we were still inside the cabin, but the layout was wrong. Instead of cluttered furniture, I felt the coldness of a dirt floor beneath me. I pushed myself up, my hands trembling. "Can you see anything?" she whispered. "No, it's pitch black." Suddenly, I heard a rustling sound, and my breath caught in my throat. Were the shadows still there? I squinted into the void, trying to catch any glimpse of light. Then, out of the silence, came the faintest hint of a whisper. "Help me," I froze. It was the creature's voice, but it sounded muffled, distant. "Where are you?" I called out, this time a bit louder. In the cave it echoed, a chilling realization dawning on me. I can't hold them back much longer. I felt a twinge of panic. "What cave? Where?" Silence enveloped the air again, pressing down on me. I glanced at the girl beside me, her wide eyes capturing a sliver of moonlight sneaking in through an unknown opening. "We need to move," she urged, her voice shaking. "Right. Let us find a way out." Carefully, I felt my way along the dirt wall, every scrape of my hand sending jolts of unease through me. I could hear low growls emerging from the shadows, a reminder that we weren't alone. The girl followed closely, her breath quickening. A faint light flickered ahead, a soft glow that seemed to pulse with life. "There," I whispered, feeling a spark of hope. As we drew closer, I realized it was the creature. It was pinned against a wall, trapped by more of the shadowy figures. Their wispy forms twisted around it, trying to envelop it like smoke. "We have to help," the girl cried, but I grabbed her arm. "Wait, what if we can't?" The creature's once bright eyes were now filled with fear and desperation. "Please, you must help me. They're too strong." I searched for a plan, desperate for an answer. The earlier thoughts of escape raced through my mind, but the shadows were filling the space between us, blocking our exit. "Do you see that?" The girl pointed. Just behind the creature was a glimmering object on the ground. It almost looked like a pendant, reflecting the soft light. "I think it's a key." We didn't have time to waste. I reached past the thrumming shadows, my fingers trembling as I gripped the pendant. As soon as I did, a shockwave rippled through the cave. The shadows shrieked and pulled back, retreating like they were terrified of the light. Maximizing this opportunity, I screamed, "We need to get out now." With renewed determination, we dashed toward the exit, the pendant glowing with intensity in my hand. Just as the shadows began to regroup, I felt a new surge of hope. We could escape. But then the ground shook beneath us. I stumbled, and the pendant slipped from my grasp. I watched in horror as it tumbled away, flickering its light before vanishing into darkness. "No!" I shouted, panic consuming me. The shadows erupted around my legs, pulling at me, threatening to drag me down. I struggled against them, but I could feel the cold darkness tightening its grip. But that wasn't the worst part. As I turned to look for the girl, I realized she was gone. "Where are you?" I yelled into the nothingness. The shadows responded with a sinister whisper, closing in. I was utterly alone. Couldn't breathe. Panic clawed at my throat, and I jerked away from the constricting darkness, desperately searching for some sign of the girl, for an escape from this nightmare. "Where are you?" I cried again, my voice echoing hopelessly against the oppressive walls of blackness encasing me. In response, the shadows pulsed and swirled, making me feel smaller and weaker, like I was being pulled into a deep well of despair. But against that despair, a flicker of resolve ignited within me. I refused to let whatever was toying with me win. I had to find a way out. I had to get back to the light. Instead of fighting the shadows, I let them guide me, allowing the darkness to show me the way. I forced my fear down, letting my instincts take over. I stumbled forward, feeling my way through the murky gloom, listening intently for any hint of movement, any indication that I wasn't alone. Then I heard a faint rustling, followed by a whisper not too far away. "Help me!" It was her voice. My heart surged with hope. "I'm coming," I called, moving toward the sound, each step an act of defiance against the suffocating darkness. That I narrowly dodged the tendrils snaking across the ground, and as I got closer to the voice, I could see a sliver of gray light spilling in from somewhere ahead. With renewed strength, I pushed toward it, my heart pounding with each leap over the unseen obstacles. When I finally broke through, gasping as I emerged from the shadows, I found myself back in the dim cabin. The air felt different now, charged with an energy that sent chills down my spine. The girl was there, crouched beneath an old table, eyes wide and filled with a mix of fear and relief. "I thought I lost you," she exclaimed, scrambling towards me. "Glad to see you too," I replied, scanning the room for any signs of danger. I felt the weight of the darkness still lurking outside, pressing against the walls like an unwelcome guest. Before we could celebrate our reunification, there was a cacophony of laughter echoing through the cabin. It wasn't just the laughter. It was a throaty, malicious sound, a sound that rendered rational thought in the depths of my mind. I yanked the door open, and the two of us bolted outside, gasping for air, utterly focused on escaping the horror of the woods together. We sprinted into the darkening trees, dodging branches and underbrush, the last vestiges of daylight fading behind us. I felt fear clenching my chest, urging me to run even faster. But I was also filled with a wild urge to figure out what lay in the shadows, what had been looming just beyond the edges of my vision. "What was that pendant?" I asked, breathless as we ran. "Did it mean something?" "I think it was a key," she said, panting as we raced. "A key to understanding whatever is happening here." "But it slipped away," I said, a grim realization settling over me. What if it was our only hope? Her eyes narrowed with determination. We have to go back to find it. It means something. I know it. I glanced back, hearing the mocking laughter grow nearer. The shadows danced among the trees as if beckoning us to enter again, to face the unknown that we've narrowly escaped. Are you sure? I asked, the pull of reason clawing at my mind. Unless you want to end up like one of those terrified photographs, just part of a collection of smiles hiding unseen shadows, then yes. Swallowing my fear, I nodded. Okay, let us go. But we need to be smart about it, stay together. Initially, we adjusted our pace to blend with the quiet chaos of the forest. The grotesque laughter faded, consumed by the desperate silence of the unseen. As we approached the clearing again, fear hung thick in the air. Close to the clearing where I had last seen the pendant, I took a deep breath. Among the trampled leaves and debris, I started digging through the damp earth. What if it's not here? I whispered, my heart racing dangerously in my chest. Then we look until we find it, she insisted, her eyes hunting for any sign. There it was, the glimmer beneath the bare roots of an old tree. My heart surged as I gripped the pendant tightly. The moment my fingers closed around the cool metal, a tremor passed through the ground, and the laughter returned. But it was no longer just laughter, it morphed into screams, anguished cries of the trapped spirits within the woods. The shadows are back, I shouted, pulling her to her feet. We needed to move, but where? Then, as if an unseen force propelled me, I pointed to a narrow path winding away from the clearing. This way. It's our only chance. With the pendant held tightly in my hand, we plunged into the darker edges of the woods, shadows bending toward us. Vocal laughter echoed like taunts, but we pushed forward, adrenaline pumping in our veins. We were alive, and from somewhere within me, I felt a sliver of hope despite the chaos surrounding us. But what awaited us beyond the trees? I could still hear whispers of shadows wrapping around us. Every instinct told me it wasn't over yet. Something was still with us. How would I escape this nightmare for good? I didn't know. I only knew one thing. I had to keep moving. The very act of running, of survival, mattered more than fear. And for that moment, we were not just trying to survive. We were fighting for the truth hidden in the hands of the shadows. And the deeper we delved into the unfamiliar, the closer the answers lay, whether we were ready for them or not.